objective and legal, etc., people are not going to like you. People are going to be mad about what you're saying. But the thing is, Stake really doesn't care. Kick is one of the only platforms that would accept Stake as a advertiser, right? Because the nature of advertising gambling products or anything involving gambling is controversial. Different jurisdictions frown upon that, i.e. countries around the world that are not happy about that. But Kick really doesn't care. Kick can say, hey, we've got this money from Stake, so we can just do what we're going to do. Our content creators can do what we're going to do, and we don't have to worry about these people on the internet because they're really isolated from that. We've got a barrier from that because we've got independent funding, and that indeed does make Kick a more resilient platform. And there are benefits to that, not just for Kick, but for other resilient platforms that have independent funding like they have through Stake. So the benefits of resilience is that resilient platforms like Kick can host a broader range of content. There are a lot of content creators, shout out to the casino and others out there, that can never be on any other platform, right? The Boss Man Jags out there, they can never be on any other platform. And there is a benefit to having platforms that can host a broader range of content, that can only host this content because it really isn't acceptable for advertisers or other platforms elsewhere. So saying, hey, we're going to have a place that we're going to allow a broader range of content. And that can be a good thing. Also, the good thing is that the content hosted is more likely to match free speech values. So these resilient platforms, because they don't have to bend the knee to advertisers, are more likely to care about free speech and like free speech and be more compliant with the American version of free speech. Mind you, of course, free speech does not exist in every country in the world.
How's the sound?
That say they have free speech may indeed have severe limits on what you can say. I'm looking at you, UK. But that said, it is very,
There's a button on
good
here.
in line with that, and I think that is a benefit. I believe in free speech on the internet, and I think that's absolutely valuable. It also
did that make the noise canceling come on?
Now,
listen, Nikki, it was 120 degrees here. 125 was the hottest my thermometer read. I was parked in the shade. My truck started to overheat. I had to go inside the restaurant. Noise canceled.
So saying, hey, we have to go with these people because they're the only ones that let us be free.
Is it actually working good? Like you can't hear the fans and stuff now?
Diversity of income, your income is really reliant on large source, right? So that's the benefit. The drawbacks of resilience are you can feel immune from attack, which is not true in reality. If you see Pavel Durov, I'll flip over here, but if you guys don't know, Pavel Durov, Telegram, Telegram thought it was an independent platform, thought it could do whatever they want to do. Well, then you have CEO Pavel Durov getting nabbed in a French airport. And I guarantee you that the authorities tried to get a backdoor into that, tried to get access to that in order to get that information. So what you're seeing is, when these platforms, these resilient platforms, they think we're immune from everything, they will find a way to pinch who they need to pinch. And if they need to pinch the CEOs, if they need to pinch the executives or the development team, the engineers, they'll pinch them if they really want to pinch them, meaning they'll put pressure on them. Maybe not arrest them, but maybe pressure them in other ways, economically. There's a lot of ways that people can kind of press in on the weak links in an organization. And the second you feel you're immune is often when you're most vulnerable because you haven't looked at your weaknesses. But beyond that, it becomes harder to draw the line between what's permissible and what's impermissible. So we're going to talk about IRL streaming, and most IRL streamers are fine and they're good and they're creating good content. But obviously, I've covered on this channel, as many people know, nuisance streamers that have crossed the line. Now, to Kick's credit, and I want to say this very clearly, Kick has gotten better at booting people off the platform when they cross the line. They obviously did with Somali, and you see others that have crossed the line. And Baby Hayes lost his partnership program when he seemingly crossed the line. So you've got them growing and learning, but it's more difficult.
Yay.
When you're more free and you don't police.
It's always hotter than the weather app says.
Because your question is, should we draw a line at all? Should we just let them do whatever they want to do? And generally, I think that should be.
It's always about, from my personal experience, whatever the weather app says, it's 10 to 20 degrees more.
Is this really okay or not? And do you want to permit that as a content? And the last one is some creators, not all.
But I am really hydrated, so yay.
Take advantage of the liberty given in order to cross certain lines. That could be cultural lines, that could be legal lines, and these are bad actors. And of course,
it's been really, really, really nice. It's because I've been eating salt.
It's clear when what is permissible and what is not. It's clear that if creators cross that line, they're going to get the food. So Moving on, what I think is from the legal standpoint, what I think is really at issue here is informed consent. And this is the thing that
Nikki, do you guys want to go bowling with us this weekend? We're going to be going bowling over in your neck of the woods, sort of, maybe?
And also just even other platforms like Twitch, right, where we're having content creators like Hassan get away with things that other creators don't get away with. So let's talk about that. So informed consent is where someone voluntarily agrees to participate in activity after being fully informed of its potential nature, its risks, its benefits, and alternatives. So two words that are important there: voluntarily. So if you go up to somebody without their permission and start involving them, whether it's physically or you're filming them or whatever else, that's not voluntary. And they certainly are not fully informed of what's going on, who you are, what your audience is, what's going on right now. That's not fully informed. But it ensures individuals have autonomy, meaning you have control to make an informed decision about participating. So, you know, to me, freedom is not just the freedom to say what you want to say, but it's also the freedom to not be bothered, to not have people come up and do things to you that you don't want them to do to you. That is taking away freedom. You no longer have freedom if other people are forcing you into a scenario that you did not sign up for, that you did not agree to. And simply going out of your house and existing is not something that you signed up for, to be on the internet, to be mocked or harassed, etc. That's not something out there, right? So let's talk about that. So obviously, I actually believe fully that if two kick content creators, so you got one kick content creator, another kick content creator, and they agree to make content, even if it's crazy.
All right, well, we're going to be going every weekend, every Sunday.
Doghouse for 30 days. If you agree to this, if you sign up for this, you know, this Mr. Beast type stuff, etc. If you sign up for this, that's informed consent. I'm totally okay with that from a legal standpoint. There really is no problem with that, as long as what you're doing isn't illegal, as long as what you're doing is not crossing a legal line. Furthermore, I also think that when content creators do things, and let's say they mock other content creators across platforms, let's say a Kick streamer mocks someone on Twitch or a Twitch streamer mocks someone on Kick, you know what? We're all content creators here, and YouTube too, myself included. You know, we all have to take a certain amount of heat, and there's a certain level of criticism we sign up for by being on the internet. There's a certain level of rebuke, a certain level of people fighting back, a certain level of even name calling that we accept is going to exist by being on the internet. Just existing on the internet does permit you to, it does open you up to a lot. You are signing up for that, and you know what you're getting into. And I am of the belief that if you cannot handle basic criticism, then you should get off the internet. But there's an asterisk here. It doesn't include illegal acts, right? So if you're doing something illegal, that's not okay. So let's talk about, for example, defamation. So let's say there's a Twitch streamer that is defaming a Kick streamer. Now, maybe the Twitch streamer thinks that they're, you know, oh, this is something we can do, but it's not. It really is not. The Kick streamer is not signing up.
Can you hear the TV?
And let's just pull a random example, just of a random person. You know, let's just say it was denims, and for no reason. Not that there's a lawsuit forming here, and not that, you know, anybody's building evidence right now. But let's say there's a certain denims, and she's, you know, defaming a certain Eggman right over here, right? So obviously that's something that crosses a line legally. It's something you did not sign up for. Oh. And if you did not sign up for it, you should not be subjected to it. No one deserves to be defamed on the internet. That's not your right to defame somebody on the internet. You can call them names. You can call them things like stupid.
You're not allowed to defame people on the internet.
Whatever. But when you start implying that they are something that they are not, especially something that's criminal, that is a problem. That is defamation.
So you mean I have a case for defamation?
Hassan, you know, I agree with Hassan's point that if you don't
so
enforce
interesting,
rules, people can become degenerate. And I think to Hassan's point, Hassan is exactly right. When platforms do not enforce rules, it does lead to degeneracy. And things like this are degeneracy because they're things that you really shouldn't be doing. They're pressing against things that are legal, right? Things that are just basic terms that we agreed to on the internet. Hey, we're not going to threaten each other, right? Even if it's not a real gun, even if it's an airsoft, right? We're not going to engage in something that could be criminal threats, right? That could be a criminal threat. We're not going to do that. I agree with Hassan that people should not do that. And perhaps Hassan should take a little bit of his own medicine on that. So furthermore, let's talk about what I cover on this channel and what you guys who have been following my coverage talk about news and streaming. A lot of these guys were on Twitch. We're on Kick. And they were on other platforms as well, YouTube, Twitch, etc. But people like Somali, right? Somali was on Kick at some point. Now, he was removed, right? Same with many of the other streamers, right? But what the problem here is that Somali, and I did not include the elderly woman here, who's the cashier out of respect for her privacy. But the problem was not that he threw noodles. The problem was that he yelled at the staff. And the staff of this establishment, I believe it was a 7-Eleven. The staff of the 7-Eleven did not agree to be filmed, did not agree to be streamed, they did not agree to your monetary split, you're not paying them, and they certainly did not agree to be yelled at. That's crossing a line culturally and legally, and in Korea, that's obstruction of business, which is one of the many charges he is up for in Korea. And then you have people like Vitaly, right? Obviously, the poor security guards who were working in BGC, in Bonifacio Global City in the Philippines, did not sign up for this. And so didn't the little old lady, once again, I wanted to keep her out because her face is kind of visible for her privacy. Neither did the elderly woman who he yelled at and said he was going to rob. None of these people signed up for that. They didn't sign a consent form. They weren't explained things. They weren't told, hey, this is just for a prank, just for a joke. If they were told that beforehand and they were just acting and playing along, that would be different, but that wasn't the case, right? That wasn't the scenario. If these were all fellow Kick streamers, then he could mess with them as much as he wants to mess with them, but he didn't do that, right? Same with Somali. So in those cases, I say it's too far. So let's go to the conclusion here.
And 3 double crochet. Third single crochet of the, you're not changing colors and you're just working continuously. You're gonna slip stitch into the next space and chain 2 and double crochet 2 together in the same space. And mark that stitch. And if you're planning to change colors like I am after row 2, you're gonna and then double crochet 2 together in the same space. And mark it. So you're gonna end round 3, crochet 3 together. It's going to be the same with the exception of the number of 3 double crochet in the spaces that you have going up to the peak. So the next time you do round 3, there will be 4 spaces to put 3 double crochet. Three double crochet in each of the next 2 spaces.
I have a new microphone. I'm using the new microphone. You see it? I got this really cool microphone kit. It's got 2 microphones and then it has the receiver so that you can use your camera. I can use my professional camera with it. And it has magnets so you can clip it to your shirt, or the magnet also has like a clip feature so you can like actually clip it to your shirt, or it even comes with a lanyard that has a microphone on it, and that will even work for, you know, you just use a lanyard. These fucking fans are so loud.
Play 3 together in each of the next 2 spaces.
My hips.
The world of internet live streaming kind of intrigues me because it seems that like all of the live streaming websites, the ones that are purpose built for live streaming, are terrible. Twitch is not like awful, but I feel like these days YouTube is like the most issue-free live streaming website there is, which is funny because issue-free is something YouTube's never been.
Yeah, amen.
Every other live streaming website, you can identify them not even.
I was just saying the same thing the other day.
Start a live streaming career, and I give you these 3 different paths. You're gonna know which website's right for me immediately. Maybe I want to get naked in a hot tub. Maybe I want to commit crimes and be the worst fucking person imaginable. Or maybe I want to piss people off politically for a living. Based off those 3, you know where to send me. But hands down, I think the worst of the 3 has got to be Kick. Kick streamers are a different breed. And when I say that, I really just mean that they're fucking stupid. It seems like whenever we're talking about something bad happening on a live stream, 9 times out of 10, it's going to take place on Kick. And I think that's just because the people who like to do shit like this, that gets talked about like this, they all gravitate towards Kick. It's the only place they're allowed to be anymore. So when I see a headline of a streamer shoots a random person with a paintball gun during a live stream, I already know where that lovely individual produces their content. The other day, during an ice
random person?
hunt, which I don't know what it is about these fuck-ass events that brings out the worst in streamers, but I swear to God, anytime there's one of these, some streamer does something terrible. I'm pretty sure when Natalie Reynolds convinced that woman to jump into a lake she was doing a scavenger hunt, I don't know what the fuck's going on with these events, but I think they should be looked into. Because the other day, the streamer Xena the Witch was having a paintball war in a park, it looks like. I don't know what that really has to do with a scavenger hunt, but she was. And she shot a random woman. And in typical streamer fashion, absolutely no accountability was taken. In fact, the opposite happened. These dumbasses began to defend themselves. Now, I had some trouble finding the original stream where this went down. I think Xena may have deleted it, but I found some clips, and I also was able to find Penny Mac's VOD, which kind of captures the aftermath and really just the stupidity of these fuckers. If you're a well-adjusted human being and you know how to go out in public without being like a story for everybody that you encounter, watching this might make you a little angry. But you know what? That's okay. It's good to experience every emotion that you can each day, I think. Let's begin.
Adriana!
Okay, so from what I can gather, that little burst of paintballs you just heard there was her just blindly firing into this little shack, which is like a paddleboard rental place. So, again, I don't know what it is about when you sign your Kick contract, you have to agree to be the worst fucking person that you can manage. But I don't think I've even met a single person in my entire life who would think that is an okay thing to do. Genuinely. It's not even just about me knowing somebody. I don't think I've even met in passing a human being who would be like, yeah, I think it's totally cool for me to fucking mag dump into a paddleboard rental shop because I'm live streaming on Kick. Who does this?
Sorry. That's a real work for you almost shot at. Huh? That's a real work for you. I don't know.
That's really all the video I could find from the perspective of the people shooting the paintballs. I think both Xena the Witch and this other woman deleted her VODs afterwards. But I was able to find Penny Mac's stream, who kind of caught the aftermath of this. And I don't really know the backstory on this guy. Not sure if he's a cool guy, good guy, whatever. I feel like most people participating in these scavenger hunts seem to be kind of shitty, but he seems to be relatively level-headed, and his VOD kind of captures what happens after this girl gets shot.
Yeah, I'm not putting up with good shit. No one's gonna fucking fucking animals. They're doing it around the public. They're doing it around members of the public. Just other bullshit. Yeah. What's your name? Oh, where did she shoot you? In the thigh. Do you know who it was? Yeah, I just wanted to get the evidence because I can
So as you can see, this woman was pelted in the leg for committing a crime of not being aware that she was around degenerate kick streamers. But even after making these kinds of videos for so long and talking about so many people who are just so fucking stupid, it still just kind of blows me away that there are people like this walking around. They walk amongst us. Like, how do you justify this? How are you a grown woman thinking that it's perfectly acceptable to walk around shooting paintball guns at people for a live stream? Like, what has to go wrong? I feel like you learn that hitting people and doing things like this to other people is not okay at like 4 years old, maybe? I feel like that's when you can kind of start understanding that one. How do you make it into adulthood and still not get it?
Oh, this guy, just so you know, this guy's got a paintball gun over here. Yeah, she just got shot in the thigh by one of your team. And this is a member of the public. Well, why have you got a paintball gun?
What the fuck is you gonna do about it?
Why are you coming at me like? I'm just asking a member of the public. Please do not come near members of the public aggressively with firearms. No, I'm just saying, I'm just wondering why you've got a paintball gun.
Somehow these two fucking geniuses are not the worst guys in this situation. But you know what? I think this sort of documentation, this content, it's important because if we weren't able to look into the minds of people as stupid, we might just never understand them. Is it fair that you have paintball guns to defend yourself from the other people with paintball guns? No, it's actually not. Officer, you're clearly not understanding this. I'm just shooting my AR into the public park because me and my buddies wanted to have an AR fight. You want me to be the only guy without an AR in the AR fight? Come on, pal. Are you stupid? Like, holy shit, I've never heard a person more confidently incorrect. No, unfortunately for you guys, it's not okay to bring a weapon into public because you and your buddies want to shoot each other in public. Like, how stupid do you actually have to be to think that shooting off paintballs into the distance in a public area is suddenly okay because you and your friends want to have a paintball fight in a public area? And then this guy in the tank top is going to make himself look even worse here in a second, so I'll wait.
I don't think it's fair, not in public. Okay, well, this member of the public just got hit by a paintball. Why are you intimidating people with weapons in public? You intimidated me.
You're just a bitch. You're just a bitch.
No?
Yeah, you are.
I'm a member of the public. The cops will be storming this place in the next few minutes. No, I didn't call them. She's calling them. She's calling them.
Okay, I'm starting to not be the biggest fan of Benny, but I mean, this guy's walking around with a fucking paintball gun asking people, how am I intimidating you? What do you mean I'm intimidating you when I'm walking around with a weapon? Things that are historically used to intimidate people, like what? And then just calling this guy a bitch over and over again. It's like, yeah, dude, you're a real big man. Walking down fucking Benny Mac and getting all in his face when, not to make Benny catch a stray here, but he might be one of the most least intimidating men I've ever seen in my life. And this guy's getting all in his face, calling him names, trying to act tough because, check my notes here. Yeah, he said you shouldn't act like a fucking child in public and you shouldn't be shooting paintball guns at random people. If as a grown man you can't take that criticism, a criticism that a 6-year-old with halfway decent parents could come up with, you're a pretty sad little guy. That's pretty much where everything ends though. Benny proceeds to kind of start clip farming. He starts describing the people that he's looking at like he's talking to the police, like verbalizing what they're wearing, what kind of tattoos they have, like he's describing someone to the police, all the while he's just filming them, so it's kind of pointless. And I mean, unsurprisingly, the presence of all of these streamers kind of bullies everybody else out of the paddleboard rental area. So it just ends up being this like conglomerate of losers arguing about whether or not shooting a person in public with a paintball gun's okay. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty pissed off that I missed my invite for that. Seems like it would have been one of the best days of my life. All in all though, I think this Xena girl's probably pretty cooked. If you go to her social media, all it is now is just people calling for her arrest, which, you know, I feel like this would be a pretty easy thing to get somebody arrested for, but at the same time, it seems like these kick streamers, especially when they have the Ice Poseidon scavenger hunt perk on, just can't get arrested for anything. Like seriously, it seems like the only thing you ever hear about going on over on Kick is people committing crimes for content, and nothing ever happens. So I mean, ideally, we'd see this woman get arrested, but unfortunately, what's probably going to happen is that this probably gets a lot more eyes on her. She's not going to lose any viewers because nobody who watches these kinds of streams cares about shit like this. So unless she gets arrested, she only has to gain from this, which is really cool. Well, guys, what do you think? You think anything's gonna happen here? I would say that I hope so, but like we've kind of talked about, it seems like nothing ever happens when stuff like this happens. I don't really get it. I don't know if the police just don't want to deal with it. I don't know if Ice Poseidon's got like some deal with the feds protecting all the scavenger hunt participants from any sort of legal repercussions whatsoever. But something's definitely going on here, and it's something that I think we should continue to study. Don't worry, I'm sure there'll be something in the next month for us to do this thing. Yippee. See ya.
I'm not allowed to look at the chat until I finish this round, so I'm trying to be quick.
Can you feel it? The primal urge to manifest another one of my dream dresses. There is one thing I know for certain, it's deep in my soul. My craft is audacity, tendency to look at a costume or a prop made by professionals and think, yeah, I can make that. And this time around, a jolly holiday dress from Mary Poppins. Okay, this is an involved costume, probably a little above my skill level, but I just, we're gonna give it a shot. And this video is gonna be a little bit different than what I usually do, because I feel like costuming and cosplay can be a little intimidating. I'm breaking this video into 3 different parts. The 3 different ways that if I'm going about making a cosplay, these are the ways that I'm gonna do them. Number 1, buying or commissioning the outfit. Number 2, thrifting. And finally, just making it out of scratch or mostly from scratch. I think the Jolly Holiday dress is going to work well for this because there are, even though it doesn't look like it, a lot of separate components that can be thrifted or choose. Not so much with my hands. Stop and keep these movements contained. Before we do anything though, it's time for a costume breakdown. After studying this a bit, it looks like Julie is wearing this undergarment with a petticoat. It is multicolored. We're going with that. Then we have the base skirt, the overskirt, the blouse with all the floral details and frilly bits, and then the corset. How this video will go is I will show you all 3 different ways of making this, and then at the end we have a big old comparison. Let us start with method number 1. Big screen for big purchases. Oh, millennial looking. So firstly is, I suppose, the easiest. I've done this quite a few times. Some costumes just make more sense that way. A lot of suit-based costumes like my Austin Powers, other costumes like Elvira from Van Helsing, I bought from a seamstress on Etsy. Now that is in no way a cheap option, but if you personally don't find yourself having the skill to do it, it is really nice to support a seamstress or a costumer. Another option, the Halloween costume. Personally for me, I try to find used. Good thing about Halloween costumes is that a lot of times people wear them once and then want to get rid of them. So let's see what we've got. First thing that pops up is this Halloween costume. It's not too shabby.
It's such a jolly holiday with you, bud.
Suffocate your
Something, 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 and a something. Do 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 do.
Was to do it on a different type of stripe. I didn't do this on purpose, but it just so happened that both of the dresses that I made were done with a fairly thick 3-color stripe. You ask, I accommodate. So the non-stretch version is going to be done on an even thicker 2-tone stripe. It's all the same color, but part of this is see-through and part of it is slightly less see-through. I think that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, super interesting. But next week. And then the stretch version is a slightly thinner 5-color stripe. 5 colors? What? I also washed this fabric because I have a slight idea, but I might not feel like getting around to it in this video. So here's this. Don't get too excited about it. Oh, I think we all know that fabric is not getting touched this week. A couple of the other requests rather than questions were, can you make a shirt version? Can you make a jumpsuit version? Can you make a shorter version of the dress? And can you make a more formal version of the dress? That's a lot, y'all. We'll see what we can get to in this video. Not much, as previously mentioned. I don't know where the fabric itself will take me. The stretchy one, maybe I will make it shorter. Maybe I will turn it into a jumpsuit. The non-stretch one is going to be more formal. It's definitely not a design that I would like putter around the house in. And the reason I washed this one is because I do have an idea for a more
My boss made me cry today.
jacket, but like something that is just a top. I have an idea for it.
She
Again,
said
no
that
guarantees
she just
we'll actually
absolutely
get that
adores the
in
work
this
that I've been
video.
doing
Or
at her
next
house,
week's
and
video.
that her
I'm
house,
most likely saving
in
that
the
idea
50
for
years
a
that
rainy
she
day.
has lived
Or
there,
even
it
just
has
a
never
chillier
been
day. It
this
doesn't
clean
have to be
before.
raining. I am logging all of those requests
And she's
away,
had
though, 'cause
cleaners
this is a style that
the entire
is
time.
really interesting to me, and I would like to
She says
continue
that I've,
exploring
in her
the future.
90
But let's get
years
started with the
on this
stretch version,
earth,
and
that
then
I
we'll
am the
answer
best
some of
house
the
cleaner
actual
she has ever
questions
had.
as that goes.
Who's excited? We're excited. Yay!
Okay, so somebody asked,
That made me so
how
happy. It
do
made
you
me feel
figure
so
out
good.
How long the pleats need to be? Is it a straight line, or does it need to curve under the bust? Would have helped if I brought a ruler or a measuring tape. So for the style of dress that I make, I'm doing pleats that are just my waist, essentially. I want them to stop under the bust because then the fabric opens up and accommodates the bust. And I want them to stop where I start to flare out at the hips. Same reason. The fabric starts to flare
Yeah,
out
she's
and
90.
accommodates your hips. Your actual waistline is like 1 point, so obviously that would not be a pleat. So you can go slightly onto the extension both sides because these are stretchy fabrics. They will just stretch to accommodate you. So I typically go from right under my bust and then down to like here. What is that? It's my hip bone, which could be in a different place for different people. I have rather high hip bones. So actually for me, it's gonna be like slightly below my belly button, maybe like 1 inch or so. And it's not a super long amount. I'm gonna do 9 inches, but that's just according to your body. So just measure from le boob to le hoop. 9-inch pleats or tucks. These are technically tucks. I say pleats a lot, but because you're folding the fabric and then sewing it closed, the proper official name of that is a tuck. My phone keeps buzzing. Does it need to be straight or curved? It's just a straight line. I just sew a perfectly straight line down the line of those stripes, which is why the stripes are so helpful, because they are your guide. You don't need to curve it on either side because the pleats or the tucks will just open up to accommodate your bust and everything. So the interesting thing with this fabric is going to be, in order to get that illusion, our tucks are going to be rather large because we have 5 different colors here. So you absolutely don't have to do this illusion style. The concept of doing tucks around the waist that open up over the hips and or over the bust, that can be done with any fabric. I've seen this style in stores just done with a regular fabric. You just decide how big you want that tuck to be, and it's a design element. It looks really nice. The thing for me, the thing that I like here is the illusion of the dresses. It's that from a distance with these striped materials, it looks like you have a solid fabric around your waist that somehow morphs smoothly into this striped fabric. So the whole idea is that you connect the matching colors of stripes. For instance here, because purple's my favorite, I'm probably gonna do purple. So if all of my tucks are sewing my purple stripes together, then that means I'm getting about a 1/2 inch of material and hiding 2.5 inches of material. That's a lot different than the ones that I made before. Those were, of course, only 3 stripes, so you're not losing or hiding nearly as much material, and the stripes themselves were wider, which means they covered more ground quicker. Yeah, those tucks being bigger, the amount of material you're hiding on the inside of the gown means that the skirt is going to end up being fuller, which I like the idea of. It also means there's going to be a lot more bulk where those hidden pleats are. So somebody else asked, how do you make the pleats lay flat when you wear it? In my brain, it should end up bulky, but yours looks super smooth. I don't really know. It just kind of happens. It's not nearly as much fabric as it seems like it is on the two dresses that I've already made. And the fabric is fairly thin, especially with the pastel one. That's a pretty thin knit. So they just kind of, they flatten
Ooh, we're
out.
color
You just
changing
never
right in the middle of a
notice it.
row. Love
On
that.
the black and gray one, that knit was a little bit thicker. However, because it's a black material, you don't see anything. You're not gonna see like lumps and stuff. Black materials hide so much. I personally didn't find it uncomfortable to have those pleats on the inside and to let them just go whichever way they want. When I put on the dress in the morning, if anything was laying weird, you just kind of and you adjust it and they lay flat. And that generally stayed that way for the rest of the day. I wasn't doing acrobatics in them or anything. Because this one is going to have significantly larger tucks and a lot more fabric on that waist though, I might play around with a different option. But the answer so far for what I've made is that it just isn't bulky. I know it does seem like it's gonna be like that in the brain. I thought the same thing. It just isn't. So the way that I make these dresses is patternless, of course, but also not even really, I don't even really draft anything. Because I never know, or I never feel like doing the math for how many stripes I'm gonna need to cover my waistline, I usually just lay out the fabric, decide how much fabric I want to assign for above the waist, which usually I give myself extra because you can always cut it off later, but like, it depends on what you're planning to do with the neckline, what kind of sleeves you want. Again, you just do a very, very haphazard measurement, like so. 17 inches. So I'll probably do 18 to be safe. So then we essentially have 18 inches of don't sew it. Then we have 9 inches of sewing, of tucks. And then you have everything else below that, which is the skirt. And however long that is how long the dress ends up being usually. This is a very interesting fabric. I was drawn in by the colors, which is why I got it from good old Remainders, but I kind of thought I wouldn't be able to use it because the texture is so weird. Like, what do you call that? Does anybody know about fabrics? Look at the strange way it's constructed. I guess it technically falls into the category of terry cloth, but like the outside to me is not really a pleasant texture. The only reason I'm fine with using it still is because the inside is like a totally normal, soft, sweatshirt kind of feeling knit. Interlude over. I'm gonna leave myself some free space, like one whole set of stripes on the end here to be seam allowance for however I end up sewing this together, and start with the second stripe. And then we're just, cooperate for me. We're just piling up the stripes like that. Kind of just all the way across the fabric. I'll probably get a chunk done and then hold it up to myself and see how much space it's covering. With the black and gray version, I did it in 2 separate chunks so that there would be side seams, which I think is a good idea. Well, I did that with both of them, I guess, but only in retrospect. I like sewed all of the fabric into pleats, tucks first, and then had to unpick some seams. So we'll try to plan a little bit more in advance here. But again, because I don't feel like doing math, I'm gonna have to sew some first and just see how much of my waistline it's covering. You're sewing from the back, of course, not from the front. So I'm just gonna start by measuring and marking my 18 inches down and my 9 inches. I'll do that for like 3 feet of the fabric or so, you know, a yard, and then we'll start sewing. Y'all, I immediately sewed the wrong stripes together. We're off to a good start. Damn it. When you're sewing the stripes together, I have learned that it's best to sacrifice a little bit of the color that you want and sew slightly inside the line of the stripe. That way you don't end up having to go back over your tucks later on to like make those little bits of other colors disappear. You get a really solid one color look if you just go a little bit inside that line rather than trying to sew right on the line of the pleat, if that makes sense. After
This
I got
round
this
is
all
taking a
done,
really
I
long
tested it against my
time.
body and realized
She
that
wasn't
not
kidding.
only
She's
is
like,
this
it's gonna
fabric
take like an
really long,
hour
it's actually coming down
to do each
into that
round once
lightest
you
part
get
of my
towards the
hip
end.
instead of opening up right above it. That's okay though. I'm just gonna cut all those down to 7 inches long instead and continue with that new measurement. In the end, I did exactly what I always do on these dresses. Pleat the entire piece of fabric and then decide afterward if it needs to be cut to 2 pieces and then seam rip where necessary. Y'all, I hand basted all of those pleats before I sewed them. Who am I? It was kind of necessary though, because this fabric is really shifty, twisted, actually. It was shifting a lot every time I sewed it. So the top layer, the top stripe that you're actually sewing down was nice and straight, but the underneath stripe, it was like in the middle of the stripe, which is too much of a stripe to waste when your stripes are this small. So even basting all of them beforehand, I still had to redo a bunch. I think this is just like a poorly made fabric, quite honestly, because even now, when I hold it up, I can tell that, I don't know if you'll be able to tell this on camera, but I could tell when I was making the marks, and I can tell when I hold it up now, that everything is kind of sloped, even though I was measuring the same distance from the top of the fabric from the selvage. It's like the whole fabric itself is crooked. How's that gonna affect the final dress? I don't know. I need to pull out all of my basting floss. But we have the whole thing pleated now. So what you do once you've pleated all of your fabric is you take that pleated section, hold it up to your waist, and see if you have enough fabric to go all the way around. I do not. I usually do not. You have to have a lot of fabric to do it, especially if your stripes are smaller. So since this does not surround me, I'm gonna have to put side panels in order to make it into a full dress, which means I need this to be in 2 pieces, and then I need to figure out where that side panel fabric is coming from. It could be a totally different fabric that matches, which is what I did on the pastel dress, or I could make this one shorter and take a chunk of fabric off the hemline, put it into the sides, which I wouldn't mind doing, and then there you go, we have a shorter one. So yeah, let me pull out a bunch of basting threads, and then we'll go from there. Woo! So pretty. That took ages and ages. But we carry on. I counted the number of pleats so I could find the center one and seam rip it open. But before I cut the whole piece in half, I want to cut a strip off the bottom to be those side panels. Yo, you can see right here how the fabric
Look how pretty.
is crooked. I pulled on a thread while seam ripping that. Like, not a thread that I sewed in, but a thread from the fabric. So it pulled the whole thread upward. But this fabric, the stripes were printed on. So the thread is the different
Now
colors
you
of
see
all
my
the
next
stripes.
row.
And look at this. You see this yellow spaces.
Three, it's going to be the same with the exception of the number of 3 double crochet in the spaces that you have going up to the peak. So the next time you do round 3, there will be 4 spaces to put 3 double crochet into. The time after that, there will be 6. The time after that, there will be 8. And the time after that, there will be 10. So it's going to go up by 2 every time. Is going to go, and then I'm going to skip over my slip stitch in my chain, and I'm going to join to here. Is going to go single crochet in this round 4, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch. Then I'm going to mark it. So this way I know when I come back around, this is where my last single crochet is going to go. And then I'm going to skip over my slip stitch in my chain and I'm going to join to here. And then we're going to put a single crochet in each stitch until we get to So every time you do round 4, it's going to be the same. You're just going to have more stitches from peak to peak. So the next time you do round 4, you will have 16 stitches on either side and 32 from peak to peak. And
you want a piece of me? Is that all you got?
Our next guest has some more on Ms. Crockett. He's Benny Johnson. He's host of The Benny Show, and he has an exclusive report now on Crockett's alleged background. See, he traveled to where Crockett claims she is from a tough area, South Dallas. You know, you hear her speak, she tries to talk street, like, okay. Compared to where she's actually from, it's quite a different picture. Where she's actually from is a beautiful, well-manicured area for the elite and highly educated. Here is a clip from Benny's report.
It is rough, it is tough, it is hood, and it is foul, just like Jasmine Crockett. That's the whole persona. She's a fraud. This is where Jasmine says she's from, but this is where Jasmine's really from.
Welcome to St. Louis, specifically the Republican suburbs of St. Louis, with the mansions, country clubs, and private schools. This is where Jasmine Crockett was raised. We're talking quiet suburbs, manicured lawns, college brochures in the mailbox.
And this is where Jasmine Crockett went to school. It's called the Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School.
How many do I put in the thing?
3 in each in the chain 3 spaces. The next time after that, you'll have 22 stitches on either side and 44 from peak to peak. The time after that, you'll have
in the entire country, also one of the most expensive. This is the #1 school in the entire state of Missouri. It costs $35,000 per year to attend high school here. And the reason why is because the average test scores here guarantee your placement in an elite college institution. It's one of the best.
Tomorrow afternoon I'll be on, oh, I don't have to yell the camera, the microphone, I forgot. I'm not trying to get it to my phone over the fan. Tomorrow I'll be on the tiki-talkie machine after 3:30, I think, is when I can get back on. So probably around 4 o'clock tomorrow.
I think not.
I'll
After
be on.
graduating from this elite country day school,
Lean into the
Jasmine
cringe.
Crockett was immediately accepted at another elite institution, Rhodes College in Tennessee.
Jasmine went on to attend and graduate from the University of Houston Law Center. In total, Jasmine Crockett's elite education cost close to $1 million.
Benny Johnson joins me now. Benny, this is unbelievable. We have another AOC on our hands, and you did the same treatment to her.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my question for you, Megan. Maybe you can help me diagnose this. You're a bit of a doctor on these things. What is with the working class stolen valor?
Right.
With elitist, left-wing, insufferable, narcissistic women? I don't understand it. First, you have Kamala Harris saying she worked the fries, which, of course, everybody at McDonald's will tell you is totally fraudulent. She never proved any of it. And then you have AOC saying she's a girl from the Bronx. That's an absolute bona fide lie. She grew up in a $500,000 house in a leafy suburb north of the city by 90 minutes. A wonderful, very clean, very safe neighborhood. And now you have Jasmine Crockett, who, Megan, I don't know where you come from, but I can tell you where I come from. Jasmine Crockett grew up so much more elite and wealthy and privileged and pampered than anyone that I know. She's so egalitarian. She's so silver spoon. So the entire thing is an act, and I call it working class stolen valor, Megan. And I love exposing it. And my only, I guess, takeaway from this is these people must really engage in a lot of self-loathing. I'm no psychiatrist, Megan, but they must really hate themselves. They must be so embarrassed about where they come from, who they are, who created them. And it really sets in stark contrast the President of the United States, who's never apologized for who he was, who's always owned that he was a billionaire, who's always been aspirational, something to look up to, and something people want to become, instead of someone
Benny,
who
you're way
dumbs
too far
themselves
up
down
Trump's
and
asshole.
lies about where they come from to try to be more hood.
Yes, that's what she's doing all the time. And she didn't talk like this before either, where she's like, y'all, I know, my homie, and I'm like, okay, that didn't exist. We ran tape from her. Before she ran for office, she sounded like a normal person. But now she's gone full street with the super long nails too, and like the lips and the gloss and like the eyelashes. She's really laying it on because she wants to be seen as like this down-home girl who gets hood.
In my mind, I'm thinking, I just got to Austin and I had to meet 5 people to get here. I don't know about this.
So y'all don't know what white privilege looks like, but I'm gonna show you a little bit of something.
It's a huge responsibility. You know, the congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look it, calm down. Calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do.
And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services.
They send them to Texas, they send them to Florida. Every deplorable state that we can think about, they usually coming out of y'all's think tank.
There was someone that talked to me and said, in fact, a former ambassador in the Clinton administration.
Please calm
Don't
down.
tell me to calm down,
Calm down.
because y'all talk noise
down.
and then
You're out of control.
He said, Jasmine, what you have to realize is that if you are really going to make change, it's not going to be in the Texas House. He said, you did a great job playing defense, but you have a chance to play offense.
Someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad-built butch body.
Meanwhile, you pointed out, like, her high school looks like a castle, Benny. It looks like the most elitist country club I've ever seen.
Oh, it was. I mean, what we shot there doesn't even do it justice. It's fine. It looks like Oxford. It's an absolute beautiful castle. Also, she went to Rhodes College. Rhodes College, nestled in the rolling hills outside of leafy Memphis, Tennessee, costs $74,000 per year. Megan, I went to community college and then state school. And I actually literally worked in fast food in order to pay for that. And so I just don't understand it. I don't get why they can't just embrace who they are and where they come from. Why do they have to code switch? It seems like a real psychological crisis, but what I know
They
about the
code
American
switch
electorate
because
is
they
that
want
don't
the
like
trick. They want to
don't
trick
like habitual
people,
liars
and they do the same
liars.
thing in the Republican
And
side
this is
with
one
the
of the huge
blue collar
Democrat Party going
workers.
forward, the inability to just be authentic with people.
Middle class.
Nobody believed Kamala Harris when she said on Drew Barrymore's show, I know you were going off on Drew Barrymore, on Drew Barrymore's show, I did the fries. Nobody believes that, right? And then President Trump comes in what I would argue is one of the greatest campaign moves of all time, and works the fries as a billionaire, rolls up his sleeves, gets salt in his eyes, gets grease on his skin, and hands people Happy Meals. Literally.
You're
and
sucking
metaphorically.
Trump's dick too
And
hard there,
that was
Benny.
just one of the greatest cell phones of all time. And they're opening themselves up for these kind of attacks, and it's beautiful. The video's done millions of views. And
Anything that ends with day school is nicer than 99.9% of what the rest of us did, which was public high school. My parents paid taxes. They had to take me. Sorry. There's another clip that we pulled from your presentation. You got to watch the Benny Show to see the full thing. Here it is as you take on her district in South
I've decided
Dallas,
that
her hometown.
I'm gonna homeschool Elliot,
South Dallas, where Jasmine Crockett
and when he
lives.
turns 14, I'm gonna put him in college classes. I'm gonna get him dual enrolled, so he'll be doing his college classes at the same time he's completing his 4 years of high school. And so by the time he graduates high school, he can graduate high school with an associate's.
This is what the children have to walk through.
That's what I did
every single
when
day.
I was 14. When I was homeschooling, I did dual enrollment at the Indian River Community
And here's what a
College.
school looks like in St. Louis. And here's what stores and shopping centers look like in South Dallas.
And when I put him in dual enrollment, he'll be able to participate in all of the college stuff, and he'll be able to participate
the use of the classical music
in community activities. I think that Elliot's probably going to become, he's going to get on a bowling league, and he's going to end up being a bowler. I really feel like it's coming. That's where we're going.
It's all about everybody just being who they
I think
want to
he's
be,
going to
loving
be
who they
a
want to love,
bowling kid.
embracing what they
We'll be a
truly
bowling
are.
family.
It's just a lie. They're just so fraudulent. They can't even accept where they come from. And more importantly, when they tell you they're from the struggle, as Jasmine Crockett does, as she code switches to being a hood rat.
Josh is so excited. He was like, I can't wait to go again. That was so much fun. And I was like, me too. You should look into like what it costs to get a membership or something, so that way, we don't have to pay $30, each time we want to go. That'd be nice to just be able to go, come and go whenever we want.
They don't know who she is. They've never met her. She represents them. It's not a terribly large district.
But we're going to be doing it. As of right now, it's been decided we're going to go bowling every Sunday as a family.
I think it's immoral.
And then
I like what you
Elliot
said
may
about
end up,
stolen power. I
over
totally
time,
agree with
Elliot
that
will
because
probably
it's
end
like
up meeting people and
who
stuff.
did grow up
And it's so
struggling
funny
did
because,
not
dude,
need
the only,
glamours
like when I was a
Crockett.
teenager, every single friend that I had, even until I was like my business partner, when I owned my cleaning business, and we first got out of jail and we started the cleaning business. It started out the two of us together, and then we broke apart because she got back on drugs, and so I started my own cleaning business and got all new clients. Even she was a bowler, and her ex-husband was a bowler, and her kid was in bowling league and stuff. So it's just so weird. I never bowled. I never liked it. So I would just go and hang out. So I literally went to the bowling alley and I would get a beer, or like I would, go out in the parking lot and smoke bowls or whatever. But I never bowled myself. When we went bowling yesterday, I think that might be the first time that I've actually bowled myself. Like, maybe in like 20 years. But I can't remember if I bowled the last time we went to a bowling alley. I feel like I did. I feel like I did bowl once, like 5 years ago. But we had so much fun. And it's great because, like, it's a family activity. It's a bonding activity. We can compete as a family. And then also we can compete against each other. Dude, it's just so perfect. We very much needed something like this. And we've been, honestly, every weekend I go there, we've been trying different things out, to see if like it works to have a family activity like doing XYZ. And we've just been going random places. But now that we've locked in, now we're going to go bowling every Sunday, which is really exciting. I'm really, 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 really excited about it. I'm so excited that me and Elliot and Josh get to do something like together as a family that will bond, it's a bonding kind of experience. It's not just like you're not just sitting in a movie theater together, or like you're not just sitting and having a meal together. You're doing something. You're participating. You're like, there's ups, there's downs, there's excitement, there's sad, there's disappointment, there's getting used. Like Elliot definitely has to learn how to adjust to disappointment. He's getting so much better, obviously, as he gets older, but like, he does, kind of crash out when what he doesn't look forward to happening happens. But he was naturally good at bowling. And as we went, he was getting better and better. And then we actually realized that I thought we found the lowest weight ball, but actually I saw there was a ball that was two numbers lower. So there was 6, 7, and he was trying to use an 8. And he was kind of struggling a little bit, but he was making it work. So I'm really excited to see how he does with a lighter ball. That's really I'm looking forward to that. Oh, it's fucking mosquito hour, dude. Hello, my love. Look. Look how pretty. It's gonna be a nice blanket. Fucking mosquitoes, man. What? Hi, babies. Hi, mamas. Hi, kitties. Now it's gonna be so hot in here. Just a minute, Muns. Money, just a minute. Orly. Come on, Orly. You ready? Are you ready to eat? You hungry? Come on. Are you coming? Orly, come on. Are you coming? You gonna come inside? You gonna get some food? You hungry? I'll bring your food out here. Money, you're gonna fucking kill me! Oh my god, I have a microphone on. I'm sorry, I'm yelling in your face. Fucking walking up the stairs into the bus, and she's literally like running under my feet, like literally. I fell. I literally fell. I forgot to tell anybody this. I forgot about it. I must have blocked it out. Fucking. But anyway, so the other day I don't know where I was going. I was leaving the house and I had my hands full. My backpacks, both of my backpacks, the backpack that I keep my knitting supplies in and my regular backpack. Here, baby. Here, baby. I had both my backpacks. I had my phone in one hand. I had my leather purse in the other hand because I didn't want to put it on because I was probably just going to work or something. So I didn't actually want to put on my purse if I was just going to take it off 5 minutes later anyway. So hands full, totally hands full. Can't see the ground. I'm like just walking, just trying to get out the door. And Money fucking goes under my foot, and I don't want to step on her, so I try to avoid stepping on her, and when I do, I completely missed the step, or I hit it with my heel and like just went shoop. And here, money. Okay. Here she comes, running like the fat kid she is. She's not gonna eat this. I'm gonna feed it to her anyway. Maybe she likes it warm, who knows. Oh, there she goes, she's eating it, thank God. I have a whole box full of this food and she wasn't eating it before, so I was worried it was gonna be all wasted. But I figured if I starved her a little bit today, like I didn't feed her when I first came home, because I was like, I'm gonna feed her that food she's not really a fan of, so I gotta make her like be hungry when I feed her. It's nice and warm right now, the food too, so she's probably enjoying that. Anyway, so I just like right out the fucking door. But thank God the railings are there. So I was able to actually catch myself on the railing, and I prevented myself from tailbone bustage. I didn't hit my ass at all. I literally was like, I don't know. I get really lucky when I fall a lot of the time. I never get hurt when I fall down, knock on wood. One time, dude, oh my God, I have never told you guys this. Dude, one time when I was in like, okay, I homeschooled like the majority of my school time. Like I started homeschooling in elementary school, and then I wanted to try to go back to school because I wanted to go to middle school. So I tried going to middle school, and I was there maybe 6 weeks before I was like, nope, I'm going back to homeschooling. But so I'm sitting on this railing, and I remember this kid that was at the middle school. I used to see him at the Boys and Girls Club in Hobe Sound when I would go to the Boys and Girls Club when I would go visit my dad. So we didn't go to the same school or anything. Well, I did go to the same school as him for a minute when I was living with my dad for a minute, but it was just a very short time. Suki! Baby! Kimoki! Sook! She's outside, Money. Money's over there just meowing, trying to call the kitten. Suki! Are you hungry? So I met him in 5th grade or 4th grade. Suki! Are you hungry? Hungry? Go get her outside, Money. She's outside. She's under the bus. I watched her do it. So anyway, I had met him originally and when I was whatever, and I'd see him at the Boys and Girls Club. But this was only for like a couple of months of my life. And then I stopped going to school and I stopped living with my dad. And I went to the Boys and Girls Club though, like whenever I would go see my dad and hang out because he had to work during the day. And, you know, after school, he wasn't quite like... It must have been the only time. It must have been only when I only must have gone to the Boys and Girls Club when I was actively going to school, because that's why I went to the Boys and Girls Club, because he worked and he worked later than school. So anyways, it doesn't matter. So there's this kid. And so I'm sitting like, you know, those wooden railings that are like, it looks like rustic logs. And it looks like the same types of logs you build a log cabin now. That's what our railings were of. And they were like, you know, worn down from like, because they were from the 70s or something. So it was like really smooth, slicky by just people's hands touching it and people sitting on it and stuff for years and years and years. Anyways, I'm sitting on that shit. And I have my hands next to me. I'm just holding myself up on this wooden, the post is about maybe this big around. So anyway, he comes up and he literally just goes and fucking pushes me backwards off that fucking shit, dude. He also slapped me in the face in one time in class, in middle school. And, you know, so this is fast forward. Now we're in 6th grade. It's the first 6 weeks of elementary school. He slapped me in the face because I was reading a Babysitter's Club novel. And he said he made a racist comment. I'm not going to repeat it. It was stupid. But it was basically like, you know, Babysitter's Club was dumb white girl shit. And so when I read books, been like this my whole life. Like I get immersed in what I'm reading. And so sometimes I will make facial features or facial expressions based on what's going on in the book. And like, I was sitting there just, reading and probably making faces and stuff to myself a little bit. And so he just came up and was like, "That's white girl shit." And he just slapped it out of my hands. And like, "Hi, Jasmine. Jasmine, look what I made." So anyway, so he pushes me, right? I'm on this railing and he fucking pushes me like this. And literally, it was as if I was some fucking stunt fucking double or something. It was instant, like my reflexes just 100% kicked in and I looked so cool. Hands were on the rail. He pushed me backwards. I literally kept my hands on the railing and I kept my ass to the railing. So I just, I like went backwards and did like boop and my feet landed right on the ground. I had no control over myself. I have no idea how I did that. It was just 100% reflexes. And like I was in gymnastics, I had recently gotten out of gymnastics. Like I think the year before was when I had my injury. So I was not able, so I'm sure that's why the reflexes kicked in because they were still like real fresh from gymnastics and stuff. But I looked really cool. And like things like that happen, like where I will all of a sudden start to fall and my reflexes will just kick in and I will not hurt myself. So I was able to save my ass falling out of my door the other day. But it was, it was really dramatic. I was like, damn, dude, I wonder if that guy over there, happened to be like recording and catch that on camera, because that would be funny to see how that looked from the outside, because the way it felt to fall. Jasmine, how are you doing? I will never forget. Like, people in Oregon, they don't understand what it's like to be a minority. People are always like, "Oh, that's racist this and that's racist that." And it's like, bro, you literally have no idea what it's like to be the victim of racism. I do. I've been stabbed in the foot with a fingernail file. I've been slapped in the face. I've been pushed off that railing. I've had people call me all kinds of fucking terrible, terrible, terrible fucking names. And just be nasty and mean to me for no reason other than I just happened to be like looking past in some direction that was theirs. And they thought I was like looking at them. And so it's just people looking to start a fight. South Florida is not an easy place to grow up when you're poor. It's really fucking hot in here now. Lame. Did you guys see that they've like recently been digging at Pompeii, or they've released some new uncovered things that they've discovered? I was gonna say uncoveries, but discoveries. It's so hot.
Or were you singular just life in LA?
It's life in LA.
Law enforcement sources say 3 men arrested in the deadly home invasion in Los Angeles last month are illegal migrants. They're accused of breaking into a Woodland Hills home and brutally attacking and killing the man inside.
Right now, America is staring down a dangerous reality, and the people in charge don't want you to notice. A terrifying crime wave is ripping through our neighborhoods, and the corporate media would rather gaslight you into believing that it's not even happening. But here's the part they really don't want you to hear.
A second startling home invasion in Sherman Oaks. One of the victims understandably distraught after 2 masked men entered her home, forcing members of the family to barricade themselves in the master.
For any family to experience that is terrifying.
In both of these heists, the intruders chose 2 of the largest and most modern homes on the block. And as it happens, both have been burglarized at least once before.
If you have 90 seconds to do a, grab and dash, that's, you could probably make some money that way. So the alarm systems, even if they work, you only have a certain amount of time before those guys are out.
A wave of violent home invasions are sweeping across America, from quiet suburban cul-de-sacs to sprawling cities. And Southern California has emerged as its epicenter. These aren't your run-of-the-mill burglars. No. These are well-organized, lightning-fast crews storming homes in the dead of night, targeting families in the one place that they should feel the safest. And here's the chilling part. In the most recent string of California raids, not a single suspect has been arrested. 0. Nothing. They've just vanished into the night. But even worse, every single one of these attacks shares one disturbing link, a link that shatters the narrative politicians in sanctuary cities have been trying to sell us for years. The same elected leaders and activist groups who swear this
The illegal people that are doing that are coming over the border to do the crime and then going back over the border. That's what happens in South Florida. All the crimes happen in my county, in Martin County, but it's people from Miami. They come from Miami to Martin and Palm Beach counties, and they do all these things and then go back to Miami.
One of them ending in violence, gunfire.
They took everything. This was the chaos left behind after burglars ransacked this Encino home a few weeks ago while the family was away, stealing 3 cars packed with anything the thieves could grab.
The LAPD chief says it's possible groups of local burglars have now adopted some techniques favored by the foreign groups that had been behind dozens of home burglaries across Southern California in recent years.
Police trying to calm fears, neighbors demanding better response from LAPD.
We were coming out of the car. My son immediately said, "Who's that?"
The realization hit fast. Ortiz says the men had just broken into her home and were running off with more than just spare change.
LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell saying that he's promising an increase in patrols in Encino. He believes the string of crimes happening there was connected to an organized crew from South America.
So far, not a single arrest has been made in this latest rash.
It's not going to happen because they're in Mexico now.
But here's what almost no one in the media will admit. When these criminals do get caught, it often turns out they're here illegally. That's right. The ugly truth is that this type of crime flourishes in areas that aren't just sanctuary cities. No, but have also defunded and shackled their police departments. That combination is pure gold for criminals. It's practically an engraved invitation. And it's exactly why so many of these offenders vanish without a trace after each hit. Take Los Angeles, the beating heart of this crime wave. LAPD officers have spent months tied down dealing with chaos.
LAPD knows exactly who did it,
rioting,
and they just let it go.
Agents, leftist agitators staging violent confrontations, leaving fewer and fewer officers to actually patrol the neighborhoods and respond to actual emergencies. Look at this one.
Rick Kareen, we spoke to the Beverly Grove homeowner today. He says he heard his alarm just before 10 o'clock last night. He didn't think much of it until he was confronted by 2 intruders who pepper sprayed him in the face and forced him into a bedroom closet.
Just went down the stairs.
This is Tony, the Beverly Grove homeowner whose property was targeted Friday night in a swift but violent robbery before he had time to turn off his alarm.
These guys came up and pepper sprayed me in the face
And sort of grabbed me. They kept yelling, "Where's the safe? Where's the safe?" And I said, "I don't have a safe." The latch was apparently
Tony believes his backsliding door may not have been completely secured, that the thieves entered here and made their way upstairs. The first thing they did, pepper spray Tony in the face, demand his safe, and corner him in the master bedroom.
And then they drag me out into the hallway. They say, you go downstairs with us. At that point, I said, "No, I'm not going downstairs with you."
It took all of about 90 seconds for the team of two, dressed in all black garb, to ransack the place and exit through the front door.
I wasn't scared at all. I just thought, okay, these guys have come and they're looking for a safe, which doesn't exist, and they grab my box of watches, but, it is what it is.
But here's the thing. This is not just about a shortage of manpower. Once you declare yourself a sanctuary city, well, you become a magnet for the worst criminal elements on earth. People had 4 straight years to walk in through our once wide open, straight open southern border. And they're now bringing with them highly sophisticated military-style burglary tactics. Tactics that most local police departments have never even encountered before. And now, those same methods are being deployed across the country. This is not just a California problem, guys, but it's in other states too. And not just by foreign nationals, but by criminals of all backgrounds who realize these techniques are incredibly effective. Look at this.
Well, the LAPD chief says it's possible groups of local burglars who, it appears, are responsible for many of these recent break-ins have now adopted some techniques favored by so-called tourist burglars, the foreign groups that had been behind dozens of home burglaries across Southern California in recent years and had been using their own surveillance cameras to pick out homes to target.
5 people were arrested in Fontana, believed to be a part of a transnational organized burglary ring. Detectives say the 4 men and woman dressed up like delivery workers.
By 1:50, 20 minutes after the initial door knock, 3 men run out with a backpack and suitcase, jump into the same white SUV, and drive off before officers arrive.
Why? Because they work. The crime pays big time. With no arrests, no consequences, and no serious deterrent, the incentive to strike again I think it's irresistible. In fact, this robbery spree, especially in wealthy progressive neighborhoods where residents proudly hang their sanctuary city signs, will almost certainly get worse before it gets better.
They're replicating the tactics and MO of the South American burglary crews, using jammers, more sophisticated pre-incident surveillance, where they may have cameras laid out on the property or on a car parked on the street across from the target house for a period of time to be able to determine pattern of life, when person's going to be home, when they're going to be gone.
Here's the hard truth. The only solution to a crime wave is strong, unapologetic law enforcement. But in California, that would mean some offenders might end up deported. And in the twisted political logic of the Golden State, keeping dangerous criminals here, it's apparently more important than keeping innocent families safe. This is a shame.
Chief Jim McDonald told the Board of Police Commissioners today these groups of thieves suspected in a lot of these recent cases have been caught with those Wi-Fi jammers that can disable some security cameras and systems, but he says they've also been cutting telephone and internet or camera cables, and in some cases using this new tactic of dropping a car off on the street with a camera running inside to remotely case a home or neighborhood. He says there's also a sophisticated network on the back end to sell the stolen loot.
They go after expensive handbags and jewelry and
I'm
things
so
that
glad that
usually
I'm
be,
poor.
for resale.
I've got nothing to offer.
And then the crews generally transport that stolen property to a warehouse type arrangement, very organized. And
28. Oh, I already did a slip stitch to join my previous round, and I have to do an additional slip stitch to move over 1 stitch. So there's a slip stitch at the end of round 4, and there's another slip stitch at the beginning of round 5. Chain 3. and I'm going to mark the top of my chain. Now I have 9 more double crochet to the peak. So you will have 10 double crochet on each side of the peak. This chain counts as 1. So it'll be chain 3 and 9 more. That equals 10. These are my 3 single crochet at the top of the peak. This is the center one, and this is the loop at the top of that center single crochet. So I'm going to put 5 double crochet into that center single crochet. And now I have 10 double crochet going down the side. 1, 2,
I think it's
3,
5.
and then 15, chain 3, and then 21, chain 3, and then 22 on each side. And the time after that, you'll have 28 on each side. Each time you do round 5, it's going to be the same. You're just going to have more stitches on each side of the peak. So the next time you do round 5, you'll have 16 stitches on each side. The time after that, you'll have 22 on each side. And the time after that, you'll have 28 on each side, and so on, increasing by 6 each time. Now, at the beginning of the round, you're always going to have a chain 3, and then it'll be 1 less double crochet to get to the top. So count that chain 3 as the first one. So it'll be chain 3 and then 15, chain 3 and then 21, chain 3 and then 27, etc. Round 6, if you're working continuously.
But is it 5 in the
3 to get to, you're always going to have a chain 3, and then it'll be 1 less double.
Well, why do I have 20 though? Because that's not right. Whatever. Can't wait till I can go back on TikTok and I can watch copywritten things again. Oh, yeah.
Eight, 9, 10. Chain 3, 9, 5, 10. And now we're going to skip 2. And remember that your
Skip
last
2.
Trump is taking over Washington, D.C., and he's planning on also taking over other major cities. Thank God. Thank God. Finally, somebody's putting this shit under control. Oh, please. Thank you, Donald. Holy shit.
President Trump will be holding a news conference addressing his crackdown on crime
Dude,
in
this
D.C.
is a
and
militarization
his
of
plan
our
to clean the
country. It's
place
happening
up.
right
That's
before
right.
our fucking eyes.
Beautiful again.
Madeline Rivera joins us live from the Capitol with the latest. Hey, Maddie. Good morning. The White House says their efforts are in line with an executive order the president signed in March to make D.C. safer. He says, in part on Truth Social, the homeless have to move out immediately. We'll give you a place to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put
The
you
place to stay is called jail.
in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. President
They're
Trump has
making
mobilized
homelessness
agents from
illegal,
several
dude.
Jail where you belong.
federal agencies for at least 7 days to fight violent crime. These include the ATF, DEA, and U.S. Park Police. The Washington Post reports the FBI is also reassigning more than 100 agents to overnight shifts to help local police, and a decision
Gotta
to
catch them all.
call up the National Guard could come later on today.
Yes.
DC's mayor says the city's crime rate is down 20%, though, compared to last year, and she's concerned that the Guard may not be used efficiently, but she acknowledges the president has the power to deploy them.
While it is always the president's prerogative to use federal law enforcement or the National Guard even, you know, I've talked on your show before that the DC National Guard is the president's National Guard. So that's always his prerogative. And federal law enforcement is always on the street in DC, and we always work cooperatively with them.
The president
Let me watch that full clip, because that was one of the ones that I found. Let's listen to the whole thing.
One of the
1,
things
2,
that
3, 4,
we have
5,
seen over and
6,
over
7,
from the
8,
president,
9,
from his
10,
team,
11,
you know, Stephen
12,
Miller saying it's
13,
like
14,
Baghdad
15,
and
16,
Ethiopia.
17, 18,
They
19,
seem
20.
to hold one of the things that we have seen over and over
What
from
the
the president,
fuck?
from his team, you know, Stephen Miller saying it's like Baghdad and Ethiopia. They seem to hold their harshest criticism sometimes for cities that are majority black and brown.
Nobody gives a fuck about this. Nobody gives a fuck about this rhetoric anymore. Nobody cares about this obvious race baiting. Nobody gives a shit, period. And also, by the way, wouldn't that be a good thing? If they're saying these cities need a bunch of help because they're overrun by these problems, and these are majority minority areas, wouldn't that be helping those people? Shouldn't you be saying thank you? What is this? Do you really think that all of the normal law-abiding citizens want to see rust bases built around every 7-Eleven? No.
Do you see that, and what do you think that means?
Just being honest.
I think that I have been dealing kind of with this issue for a number of years. It's kind of easy fodder on the campaign trail. But now we're talking about governing, and my job is to focus on making sure our city is running well, and people enjoy a great quality of life.
Then why is there, if you're enjoying, why are they living on the street? Why are they on the street? Why is there a bunch of crime? Why is there people like fucking robbing shit and like just causing problems? Like Because, like, yeah, I mean, you're not doing a good job, right? I mean, like, because if you were doing a good job, this wouldn't need to happen.
And I think we're doing a really good job.
What's going on with this?
We do need the federal government's help, as I mentioned, because they have an outsized influence on our criminal justice system. We need more prosecutors. We need more judges. There are other ways to help. Even we want to rebuild our jail, and there are ways that the feds can help with that. But also just doing their part, cutting the grass, fixing the fountains, making sure that federal law enforcement is doing all of the policing that they can do. And I just have to say thank you to MPS, FBI, ATF, who always work cooperatively with us. And
it's actually crazy that, like, she didn't even go into this race baiting bullshit that, like, this guy was trying to do. Like, what a dumb fucking retard, man. Like,
there's I'm watching a video on the internet.
Get it into a fucking
YouTube.
Turn that into some bullshit, right? Good on her. Yeah, she dodged that. No, you know, you're right. And so this is the problem. Man. Not looking good, huh? Holy shit. I don't know where this is particularly, but this is what happens. You don't enforce the laws. People come in and they steal all the shit. Can you believe that? Wow. Where's the ice cream? That's where the ice cream's supposed to be. This is the USSR? Yes. Where is it? I bet they still have pistachio ice cream. So that's it. Yeah, what's happening? Nothing. Nothing's happening. That's the problem. That's the whole issue.
Called out youth crime in particular.
Look at it.
Just over the weekend, DC police say a young man fired at another group of young people with a stolen gun in a popular neighborhood.
Wow.
He was arrested and there were no victims. Now, a juvenile curfew is in effect in the area where the shooting took place.
Yep.
The president says his announcement this morning, though, like you said, Brian, will not only be about...
the thing is, they're trying to put the kids in jail, too.
I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are.
Yep.
They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill, I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this.
This is completely true, by the way. If you're 14, you shoot somebody, you need to just go to jail. It's not, and at that point, it's not like about like whether it's like your parents or not. It's about everybody else that's around you, right? Because like if you're crashing out,
but they need to go to a fucking boot camp of some kind that teaches them fucking life skills and a trade, so they can get out and make money instead of leaning on a life of crime in order to have money. You teach a fucking kid a trade skill, and they'll be able to make damn good money for themselves.
We need to recognize that the people who matter.
Put the parents in jail.
All juvie places like that need to be teaching skills, making kids do hobbies, making people be productive.
But it's not going to end today. Because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is...
they can get... The kids know they can get away with it. We did the same thing whenever we were kids.
2, 3,
yeah,
4,
for sure.
5, 6,
through the state attorney
7,
general,
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court, and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts.
Nope.
Enough.
Nope.
It changes today.
We're putting them in the coal mines, manual labor, for 30 years.
Manual labor is a really good idea. It is doing hard work is good for your soul. It's good for your mind.
That's it. It's weird. The president doesn't
You
want
know,
to do
in
this
the
thing.
medieval times, they had this thing. It was called when you got sent to do hard labor in jail. In like I guess the Victorian ages more so than like medieval times, but in like the Victorian ages, they literally had this wooden box with a crank on it, and inside that wooden box were paddles and a bunch of sand. Literally for 8 hours a day, they would make the inmates turn that crank because hard work is good for the soul. And it's true. Physical labor is good for you. People need to be, I like that idea of forced labor, making fucking unruly teenagers learn a skill, learn a trade, and then in order to graduate out of their program, they need to do certain hours of giving back to the community through labor and, you know, being productive, whether it be they're making something with their hands and they're selling it, you know, or they're giving it away to people in need, or they're out building fences or whatever the case may be. I think that hard labor, we should have that. I think it's good. So this project is called the 6-Day Star Blanket. It's so pretty. I love this fabric too. I made a vest, one of the first vests or t-shirts or something that I made. I made it out of this material, and I really love these colors and stuff. It takes a little bit, it's like there's no rhyme or reason to the color change, and it always does it like in between rows no matter what project you're on. Or like it's like, look how much blue, you know, that's like 6 rows of blue. So it's a little annoying, but I love it. I love the colors, and I like that this is a thinner yarn. It makes a fabric-y, you know, a billowy fabric. Felt like a mosquito was on my head. Literally feel like I have to yell over my fucking fan. I keep forgetting that I have a microphone on. These fans are so fucking loud. Can you hear it now? I literally feel like I'm in a wind tunnel. There you go. Save you the ear injury. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. So fucking hot. Damn, dude, I should go take a shower before it gets too late. I'm gonna go take a shower. I'll be back in a little bit. I'm gonna turn this off so that way I can charge my phone and stuff while I'm in the shower. So I'll be back in a little bit.